Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I do have some questions for Mr. Kubicki. You said that this project will help property values, and you made reference to projects in Marymount and on Galbraith Road. Have you actually gathered any data that you could share with us today regarding the increase in property value?
I have not, but it happens. As a practical matter, it happens.
It would be much more helpful if you could give us hard data.
Okay, well, you're right, and I'm not prepared to do that here. It's not my job to do it. I'm going to go publicly advocate that I think this is a good project, and not get tricked into questions that I can't answer correctly.
Well, I didn't trick you into a question, it's a simple one. You brought up property values.
No, I agree. I'm saying to you, in my experience, wherever I have seen developments like this occur, people can be against them and eventually say, you know what, it's ended up being a good thing and ends up helping everybody's property values.
So you have no data to give us tonight?
I don't have specific data, no.
I think you misspoke when you said the developer here has made the traffic improvements. What you're saying is he's committed to make them at some point in the future.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions for this witness.
Any other questions for Mr. Kubicki? Okay.
Next, I'd like to ask Mr. William Cunningham to come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been a Sycamore Township resident for about 40 years.
Bill, just 1 second, please. I want to make absolutely sure we're doing things the right way. I don't believe you were here.
No,
when we
I'm
did a
here.
mass swearing in. Would you state your name and address for the
Bill
record?
Cunningham, 8036 Keller Road.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings, so help you God?
I shall.
Go ahead.
I've lived in Sycamore Township for 40 years, Dillonvale, and now on Keller Road in Sycamore Township. And I have a sense this project is not too popular in the room. If you oppose this, will you raise your hand? Okay. You matter. You matter a lot. But so do the 20,000 residents that are not here and not speaking. So do the 300 residents of Sycamore Township who signed the petition to do this. It's one thing to look at a room and base a decision based upon the clamor. It's another thing to look at the 20,000 people and the hundreds in Sycamore Township who signed a petition that are not here. Those are the ones you should be concerned about. With all due respect, you represent about 0.5% of those of us who live in Sycamore Township, and the great majority would not take the time to come here tonight. And I would say, as a Deer Park High School graduate, there's well over $1 million needed in Deer Park High School, which is why the 300 signed that petition. So instead of doing what is popular in the room, I would urge each of you to do what's right for 20,000 residents who enjoy low taxes, a low crime-free environment, and many say the best-run township in Hamilton County is right here. And it's because boards like you three have not done what's popular in the room, but what's popular for 20,000 people. That's all I have to say.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, Willie, if for some reason this doesn't happen, isn't there a way to get money, to raise money for, I know Indian Hill right now, they find this to be surprising, but Indian Hill doesn't have air conditioning in the gym. And so they have some fundraisers going on right now to get air conditioning for the gym. Now, I can absolutely agree with you, talk to Jay Phillips, long conversation over a cup of coffee. It would be great to have the air conditioning. But in the event that this doesn't happen, isn't there other ways to make this happen?
Most likely, those of us who built the football
Sure.
field stadium, those of us raising money for Amity, et cetera, yes. But this is a piece of pie in the mosaic of what's going on. This is a piece. But as a resident, that site's going to be developed at some point in the future. It isn't
Absolutely.
if, but what's going to go there. And when you have local people with a mixed use that needs a slight tweak in order to create more economic opportunity. You know, Wiseman said in America there's large waves, medium waves, and small waves of economic activity. When you get your hair cut, that's a small wave. This is $100 million this guy's going to put up for Sycamore Township. If somebody came to us and said, Fran, here's $100 million, the first question is, what do I have to do? It isn't, let's make it hard on you. How do we work with somebody, this huge wave about to hit the township? There was a big fight in Cincinnati over FC, and that was $250 million for a population of 310,000. We're 3% of Hamilton County. 3% of Sycamore Township. This guy, I never met the guy until I shook his hand outside. $100 million is putting on our lap, which generates $700 million in economic activity. That $100 million goes in the pockets of the plasterers, the drywallers, the lawyers, the accountants, the architects, those who install carpet and vinyl in the walls and the roofs. And that economic activity ripples across Hamilton County. $700 million. This is a no-brainer, guys. This ain't even close. There might be 20 or 30 people unhappy, but there's 20,000 behind me saying, do what's right for the township, and don't listen to the clamor of the loud dissenters. Look at the overall 20,000 of us and say, we have low taxes, we have low crime, we have the best run township because other boards have made the decision to invest in our community with his money. $100 million equals $700 million. And that's what I would focus on, Jim. And let's face it, yeah, there's other ways of raising 1.2 million, but this is an important piece of the pie. Those kids are going to school last week in 100-degree temperatures. I mean, 100 degrees in the classroom. Tomorrow's going to be 88, it's going to be 95 degrees. This is a small piece. We could raise the money maybe elsewhere, but why not use this as an engine to drive economic development in Sycamore Township? This is it, man. This is a big deal. This is why you were put in office. You were put in office to look after 20,000 people, not 50.
Hey, hold on.
I have something to say.
Are there, just a minute, please. Are there any other questions from the board? Mr.
I
Marion?
enjoy hearing Willie. I enjoy it.
I like you.
It's like a radio show. It's like a radio show.
You're like a living legend in radio. It's unbelievable.
Come on, Mr. Marion.
Mr. Cunningham, just very briefly, are you aware that you're sounding like you're pitting the nearby residents who are going to...
We're all in this together. We're all in this.
You're not answering my question, just listen until I pose my question. You seem to be pitting the nearby residents who are going to suffer from the negative impacts of this development versus others more distant away. And are you aware that this is an administrative proceeding and the people who live in proximity to the site have the right to appeal a decision? The other people in the township more distant have no right to appeal.
100%.
You're aware of that?
Let their rights
Okay,
be
thank you.
protected by fine lawyers like you. I know
Thank
some.
you.
And Fran Barrett's a good man.
Questions?
I would just like to say to Willie, and no disrespect, I listen to you all the time, dude, I like you. But you're talking about a little piece. Single mom, raised three kids by herself, chose that neighborhood for, I'm on the other side. I wasn't interviewed by them because I'm not in the 200 feet. But I'm going to be affected. I bought my house for the school district, and I said all three of my kids, well, two, the other one was private schools before we moved here, to Indian Hill. So when you talk about a piece of the pie, that's my home. That's what I spent 33 years at the post office to work towards that home. No one's given me any evidence about what my property value is going to do. And I have a little speech later about traffic and all kinds of things you'll hear later. But I get a little offended when you just trivialize my neighborhood.
No, the
And it's
question
not
was
my
whether-
respect.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Let her talk.
It's okay, he's all right, he's okay.
No, he's fine. But
But, and I love
my
schools. My father was a teacher.
All right, ma'am.
And so,
Again,
it's, yeah.
ma'am.
So my question is, can we not trivialize the rest of us? I felt trivialized.
Well, ma'am,
If that's-
my answer to Jim was the 1.2 million part of fundraising at Deer Park. It wasn't trivializing houses on Huddleston, Camden, and Wicklow where I lived, and
And
my
I'm on
single mom
Cyrex.
raised for it. I understand your situation, and God bless you. We need more people like you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Do you have a question, sir?
I've only got one question for him. If you got 300 people that signed up that's concerned about it, 20,000 other ones, where are they? If they're concerned, they should be here.
Okay.
That's just a name on a piece of paper. That don't mean nothing.
You want my name and everything? Carol Martini, 8098 Merriman. I listen to you all the time. And you were against the pipeline going through Kenwood Country Club so you could continue your golf game. We're trying to
All right, ma'am.
protect our property.
This is breaking down.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
an
No, I wanna
opportunity.
ask
Do you
you-
have a question?
I have a question for
Okay.
him. When you went to Deer Park School, did you have air conditioning?
No,
You survived, didn't you?
Yes.
And so will these children.
they will survive.
They will
No
survive.
question. Thank
Your
you.
opinion against mine.
Thank you. And my opinion is worth no more than yours.
Exactly. Mine's worth more.
Do you have a question?
I've got a response to Jim's question to Bill. Is there any other way to get this 1.2 million? I graduated from Deer Park as Bill did. They've got 2 buildings that they're not using. One's a deluxe, hotel for the big management, the guy that was here and so forth. Why don't they sell those 2 buildings because they're not really using them for kids? And they could get the money that you need to do what they need.
That's a superintendent question.
There's no one here who can answer that question.
We got 1,400
Any-
students today. We had 4,200 when I graduated. We had 2 buildings. They got 4 now.
Understand, okay, let's get back on topic here. Are there any other questions for Mr. Cunningham? Okay.
I didn't get sworn
what-
in either.
Wait, tell them six.
Do
Do you have a question?
Well, I don't, can I
Is it-
just,
Bill, before you leave,
hold on.
we have someone here who I think wants to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hold on, I didn't get sworn in. Is that okay?
Oh, no, it's
No,
not. Could
you
you say
don't
that?
have to be, we're only asking questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do not have to be sworn in to ask a
Oh,
question.
okay. No, then I don't have a question. I was just gonna help clarify.
If you want to make a statement, that's for later, and then
Okay.
you do need to be sworn in. This
All right.
is your opportunity
Yeah,
to ask
this is-
Mr. Cunningham
Okay,
any
we're good.
questions.
We're good, thanks.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barrett?
Yes,
Jerry Atkins, please. Could you use the microphone, please, to state your name and address for the record and confirm for us that you have been sworn in?
I have been sworn in. My name is Jerry Atkins.
there he is. Hold it a little
A
closer.
little closer, it's on.
My name is Jerry Atkins. I reside at 11982 Bright Soaps Lane, Cincinnati.
Still can't hear you.
I don't think he can talk any louder, so we just have to do the best we can.
Turn the mic up.
No, it'll,
I'm sure you can talk louder also.
My name is Jerry Atkins.
There.
I live at 11982 Bright Soaps Lane, Sycamore Township, Hamilton County, Ohio, 45249. I've lived in Sycamore Township since 1989. So I've been a resident for a long time. My kids were raised here. I still live here. I've had 2 businesses here. We have an office at 8150 Corporate Park Drive, and also at Kenwood Collection as well. So I have a vested interest in the township. I've also served on a school board. With regard to the other question, I found it of interest that we talked about a capital item that can be paid for through fundraising, but let's say that did happen. You have ongoing operating expenses so you can pay your teachers at market, so you can get the best caliber of teaching and materials to go into schools. So I think it's a little short-sighted to say, well, we're going to take care of one capital need with fundraising, and to compare Indian Hill and to compare Deer Park is like comparing 2 different worlds. And Deer Park will always be challenged to raise funds for capital. This is a capital expense for operating expenses. If they raise that funds, it's great, but they're going to need operating costs to cover their school teacher salaries and to cover ongoing operating expenses, which are very challenging. So I would just talk to the crowd about doing that. I served on a school board in Sycamore Township for 6 years, and as the president of the board, I can tell you it's very challenging on a capital operating side to run a school. And Deer Park will always be challenged in where it's at today. I'm here to speak on a couple different things. I've known capital investment folks for a very long time. I started in the real estate appraisal business. I'm in the site selection business. I'm in the business of looking at projects around the country. With regard to a fact, we talked about malls that don't do well over time. There's a fact that Tri-County Mall was foreclosed on. It's a fact that Forest Fair Mall was foreclosed on. Those are facts. Things happen. It's a very competitive environment. There's basically 2 shopping districts in the greater Cincinnati area that are succeeding. One is Florence and one is Kenwood Town Center. I would say over the next next probably 30 years, there's gonna be 2 primary malls in our area, and those will be it. We'll have other peripheral shopping districts, but these 2 will be it. But it also defines on what happens in and around those areas. In Florence, they invested in infrastructure in and around the area. Kenwood has done that through Sycamore Township as well. One of the ongoing things for Sycamore Township, and it goes back to the 80s when I heard Neil Borch talk about what helps communities are people. When you have people living and people on the streets and people that have different places to live, whether it be a entry-level studio apartment in whatever project it is, it creates life and increases investment, because what you're finding in these apartments is you have people coming to the community for the first time, but people who want to stay in the community, and they don't have the capacity to take care of a home anymore, so they want to be in apartments. You see a lot of that in the new apartments that are being built. People want to be close in, they don't want to be out, they don't want to keep moving outside of their community. This is going to be an asset where people can stay in Sycamore Township after they retire. I'm an empty nester. Our goal is to be within an area that is somewhere around Sycamore Township, because this is where we've been. So it's a good opportunity. I'm not an expert on traffic, I'm not going to talk about it, but I can tell you, I have seen in the time I've lived in Sycamore Township that road improvements have been made to handle the traffic that comes in and out of the area. I can also tell you that it's a fact that a multifamily project is more desired from a long-term standpoint than an office building. Office buildings lose value, they lose tenants, they go out of vogue. Multifamily is a very stable asset group that is gonna stand the test of time. And that is why you've seen so much investment in multifamily right now. Like, folks are filling those units, they will be here for now and in the future as well. But you're not gonna see that the apartment building. You may see office buildings that have vacancy where people migrate to different areas. So, capital investment people this is a second generation within this market. I know the principals involved, I can speak to whatever other people said was about their integrity and their credibility. They're there. It is important to me as a resident to have developers that have credibility. You know, and I have lived here. All my businesses have been here. My kids were raised here. My kids went to school here. So I have a vested interest in what this township does over time.
Sure, we talk about property values, impacts.
I don't, I mean, I am a resident that speak on specific property values, but I can tell you that the areas around major shopping districts and major commercial districts that don't invest in those districts, the areas around those, the values decrease over time. And that's a fact, because you see in the areas around Cincinnati where those malls have failed, they've had a very difficult time. It becomes blighted and it becomes an area where it's not going to be. Fortunately, Kenwood is one of the top districts in the country. This is the place people want to be. And to the extent that we can take the areas that are along major commercial corridors and develop them and bring them with value, it's a benefit to the township and to the values of the surrounding properties.
Board have any questions? Mr. Mara?
Yes, thank you. I have a few quick questions for Mr. Atkins. You mentioned that you have businesses at 8150 Corporate Park Drive and at the Kenwood Collection. Would you tell us the name of those businesses or their nature?
Business that I have at 8150 Corporate Park Drive is called Target Real Estate Investments, Impact Real Estate Investments. We make investments in real estate for our family. At 5905, it's Bellwether Enterprise Real Estate Capital. We work on projects. I'm in the structured finance group, so I work in a group that helps put tax credits into projects that are not in Sycamore Township.
Do you do any work for Capital Investment Group?
I have in the past, yes, but not today.
How recently?
I haven't done, since my property advisor days, I'm not directly done business with them, so.
And by that I mean
10
the
years
company,
ago.
not you individually.
10 years ago.
Are you involved at all in this project?
0.
You said that some of the apartments were for retired people. Who told you that?
I don't need to be told that. I can tell you I can give you an example project called 4900 Hunt Road, and they have empty nesters and retired single and couples in the project.
Where exactly would that be? Is it in Blue Ash or?
Yes, 4900 Hunt Road, Cincinnati 45242, it's about 3/4 of a mile from here. We have perfect time.
Do you live near this particular site?
I live in Sycamore Township.
Well, how far away?
6 miles.
So you would not be affected negatively at all by this, would you?
It would be impacted because I work right across the street.
But your property values would not be affected?
No.
Okay. Speaking of property values, do you have any data to give us as opposed to bold opinions?
The opinions I have with regard to facts.
Do you have any data with you this evening to share with us?
I told you a fact, which is that Tri-County knowledge will close door.
Well, I want to know about data about property values. You say you have a positive impact on property values. Where's your data?
I haven't been engaged to do that.
Okay, thank you. Nothing else, thank you.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Mr. Barrett?
Mr. Rusty Myers.
Mr. Myers, will you say your name and address, please, and confirm that you have been sworn in?
Yes, it's Russell Myers. My address is 11998 Bright Slopes Lane, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45249, and I was sworn in. Just as a little background, I have grown up in and around Sycamore Township all of my life. My grandparents were in Indian Creek. My girlfriend's grandparents in high school lived actually on Happiness Way, and then in Dunedin. My cousin was on Richmond. I've seen this community since 1960 grow into what it is today. And I rode my bike many a times around the neighborhood, and back in 1970, we didn't have a Kenwood Mall, we had Kenwood Plaza, and you can see what the transformation has been over the years. We didn't have Mercy Hospital or Jewish Hospital, we had F Memorial Hospital. You can see what the transformation has been over the years. I am a Sycamore Township resident. One of the things that I'll applaud the board for is putting the JED in place that has helped Sycamore Township residents not only in this area but throughout the whole Sycamore Township area. The question came up about property values of residents who aren't in the area. I would say probably without that JED,